If I'm in the cannabis or the hemp industry, I am nervous.
Yeah.
One, this is a humongous departure from where things were heading. What Bernie, I think, said when he was running, I legalize, and everything, government's staying out of it. There is a big thing. I know like organizations like Normal are gearing up for this is a preemption issue because it's states' rights, but we're not seeing a lot of that being, there's federal troops running all over the place, stepping on states' toes. So if I'm in that industry at any level, I am nervous about where things are going.
Yep.
Very, very nervous about where things are going and my ability to remain in that business.
Welcome to the Payments Experts Podcast, a podcast of Global Legal Law Firm. We hope you enjoy this episode. We're really excited in studio today. We're joining us Senior Associate Attorney Bryce Vandermoor, as well as Managing Partner of the law firm, James Huber. Gentlemen, we're talking about the hemp ban. Maybe we'll talk about, is it a ban? What does it mean for our clientele, our listeners? Jump right in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this came out of nowhere, but we had somebody on the podcast last week, Jeremy, that was kind of seemed like he knew this was coming. He must have been reading the tea leaves. Remember that? He's like, it's happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this guy's crazy. But yeah, it happened. So effective in 1 year, any hemp that has I think it's like 0.03 or something THC is a Schedule 1 drug, just like it is marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it. And my understanding is that it's basically impossible to make hemp that doesn't have some trace amount of THC. And what it did is basically the Farm Bill left open a loophole for hemp to be processed because hemp is a wildly lucrative crop to grow. And they're saying, look, the Farm Bill, it never had the intent of leaving this industry, this product completely unregulated. Yeah, it did. That was the whole point. It's non-psychoactive. I don't know. People take CBD and says it does something. I've never tried
it's
it.
kind of hit or miss on the CBD. I don't know that I'm...
I think like muscle cream. Actually, we had a client whose legs were all bruised, and he's in that industry. It'd be interesting to see what he thinks. And he's rubbed it on. He's like a professional fighter, and he's like, look, one day the bruises are gone. So maybe he's got the good stuff. I don't know. But anyways, it doesn't get you high, right? The CBD. So the whole thing is, they use hemp for everything.
Clothes,
rope,
medicine.
Wasn't that the whole deal with hemp in the first place? That it was basically going to wipe out the cotton industry because it's
the gun industry.
No, the cotton.
Oh, cotton.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Everyone will be too lazy.
Yeah,
They'll stop shooting.
Well, yeah, everybody's too high to shoot.
Yeah. No, I think because I remember we had our tennis uniforms in high school had a hemp leaf on them. We were like, this is awesome.
This is awesome.
Yeah, because it was all made out of hemp, and they were great shirts. So, anyways, what does this mean for the payment processing industry? Is one, big hemp sellers, they're just processing payments regularly, just like a regular store selling cotton. Mm-hmm. So they are scrambling. They don't know what the fuck to do. We've got, clients going, this is coming. So number one, we don't know what's going to happen. So they said, give it a year, go figure it out, go make some framework. Now, Bryce said, Texas is completely fucked from this. But Texas, I think, is was it $30 billion industry in hemp.
Wow.
That might include cannabis too, though. I don't know.
No, well, it included like the Delta 8 and the Delta 9.
Okay.
Who have the below the 0.03, but it's still.
But that stuff actually gets you high.
It does, yeah. And
Bryce
my understanding is. Well, my
had a
understanding
little
is.
side
Hey,
smile
I do my research.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's basically marketed. I've seen it marketed as it's basically weed for people that don't like to get blasted.
Okay, so
It's like starter marijuana.
it's like what probably we were smoking in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, not us.
I was
Not
gonna,
us,
to
but-
say probably weed in the 60s was probably
yeah.
basically
Weed in the
the
60s.
best
That's
age.
like the 90s and 2000. I mean,
Anyways, so the
that went weird.
So Texas is screwed because that's a huge industry. So the crops, which my understanding is, you throw a seed in the dirt and it sprinkles up. Now, I remember trying that in high school and it didn't work.
Well, my understanding is though that the legislature had already been attacking it, and it's a huge moneymaker for the state.
It's a huge moneymaker, and there's got to be something at play. I don't think that Texas is a big cotton growing or whatever, but I don't know. So it's really weird to see wanting to shut down a whole industry that generates a ton of money, particularly one that affects farmers.
who are already taking a massive hit anyway.
That are already taking a massive hit. And this is something where it's low maintenance. I don't know if it's a ton of water or not, but it's like, what are they going to grow now? Their margins just went way down because you grow this and easy peasy.
Yeah, what's Northern California going to do?
Well, I think to your point, it's to kind of make it as clear as possible, hemp is not a drug, right? That's the problem. At least I know in my home right now, my wife, she got, hemp oil for various things. She uses hemp even protein in her protein shakes.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, what do you do with that? I remember, there's hemp seeds at the salad bar.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are done.
Yeah, what I'm concerned is going to happen, because I've seen this lately. Because my angle has always been, or what I'm professing to these people is that in order to have a match violation, it has to involve payment processing. You can't have matches for card processing violations, like misuse of card. So that basically means you have to have in a transaction. But what I am seeing now, sporadically, but I'm afraid it's going to snowball, is that MasterCard is, if you even have like some component of your shop or your store selling something that they don't like, even if they would only take cash for it, even if it doesn't involve a credit card, they're going to get matched for a violation of standards, because basically your store is offering something that they find objectionable.
If you're a health food store and you've got a bar of soap that's hemp infused, arguably they could come kick down the doors and arrest you because you're selling a Schedule I drug now.
Yeah, but even if you're not taking a credit card for it, it still skeeves them out. And so I'm afraid that it's gonna be the peptides all over again, which is where they just cut everybody off at the knees without any investigation whatsoever. It's just safer to cut them loose and put them out of commission for 5 years than to actually look into it.
Well, I could see, like we said, they've got a year, but I could see this starting to happen right now, today, where they're going, hey, we don't want to worry about this. We're going to shut you down. So now what do these people do? So, okay, go look at the guys that are selling cannabis. What are they doing? They're doing cashless ATM, which is a transaction that mimics a ATM transaction, which I've always, people have all this flack about. But I'm like, what's the difference between the ATM machine sitting in the corner and cashless ATM? And now there's some issues with how the merchant gets charged or the cardholder gets charged their network fees and all of that, but they get that same thing going to the ATM. But anyways, there's issues with that potentially for the cardholder. But, if you're buying marijuana, like Bryce says, these damn kids don't remember the days of having to sit in some sketchy dude's house for a half an hour pretending like you're not there just to buy the weed.
Yeah, and it shows.
And if I'm willing to go spend 30 minutes to an hour watching some guy like a blowgun, he was blowing darts into things, and I'm like, and he's got this dog with his purple tongue, and I'm like, yeah, it's really fun hanging out. I'm willing to go into a weed shop now, sonny boy, and pay an extra $6. Because think of what you just saved. You're not getting threatened by blow darts and some big dog named Kita.
I think we knew the same guy, James.
Yeah.
And I love that meme that you mentioned off kind of like I had to smoke out of a Coke can so that you could vape and Target.
Yeah, exactly.
So James, what's your message for, like you said, for our audience, for ISOs? What are you telling our clients?
If I'm in the cannabis or the hemp industry, I am nervous.
Yeah.
One, this is a humongous departure from where things were heading. What Bernie, I think, said when he was running, I legalize, and everything, government's staying out of it. There is a big thing. I know like organizations like Normal are gearing up for this is a preemption issue because it's states' rights, but we're not seeing a lot of that being, there's federal troops running all over the place, stepping on states' toes. So if I'm in that industry at any level, I am nervous about where things are going.
Yep.
Very, very nervous about where things are going and my ability to remain in that business. And I think that it will be a big fight because I don't think it's going away, really. I mean,
well, but it seemed
you
like
can just make it goes back to, you're going to have to go back to that sketchy dude's house.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed
Look him
like
up, James, see if he's still around.
Yeah, Mad Dog. Yeah, it seems like we were actually maybe moving to maybe possibly the federal government finally like allowing the, because it's still illegal federally, so the credit cards will not touch it. I was hopeful that we might be getting to a point of maturity where, the credit cards could become an option, the federal government would just lighten up, but it's seemingly now we're going backwards.
Well, it could go back to medical and it could go back for hemp. People use hemp for all these creams and sleeplessness and seizures and everything like that. It could go back to, you need a prescription to get your protein, your hemp protein.
Yeah, crazy.
And it could go with that way with marijuana too, because that is one area where the preemption issue is, that's been pretty clear states' rights. They get to decide medical. That's how it happened first everywhere. And they're going, that's going to be a tough one. But again, right now we're seeing humongous erosion of states' rights. So I would not be hanging my hat on that, as far as, where we're at with that going on. So what I would be doing if I'm in this space is I would be thinking about continuity programs to have multiple ways to take payments, because we know we do a lot of match work where people get shut down. If you can't take payments, you're out of business. That guy whose house I went to, he was cash only. But, nowadays, I don't think a dispensary, I think they could be cash only, but they're going to have an ATM and that thing better have a whole bunch of money. And if it breaks, you're out of business.
Absolutely.
So I would be hiring some professionals who know a lot of people in the space. I know one of those professionals, that would be our law firm, and talking about, hey, what are my options here? Because if you have anything less than 3 right now, I'd be real nervous. And this would be huge companies.
Yeah.
CBD companies. These are humongous, massive companies shipping all over the world and all of that. And they're, all of a sudden they're being told that they're drug dealers.
Well, I think that also it would behoove the merchants to be a little proactive and just call the ISO.
Call your ISO.
And be like,
so
what's your stand here? What is your understanding of what I should be doing? What changes I should be making? Because, ultimately, like a large portion of our match cases are born as a result of the fact that the merchant just made a move that they thought was correct, but they didn't run it by their processor. They didn't run it by their bank, and they hate that. And so it's basically, if you had just asked the question before you took the action, you would not be in the situation. And I think so. I think everybody has a right to reach out to their processors and be like, "Hey, am I okay? Like, do we need to reevaluate my business model? Because I would rather shut down voluntarily or remove something from my stock voluntarily than lose payment processing for 5 years and then I'm losing my house."
It's like me with my wife. I'm doing fine as long as she tells me I'm fine every 15 minutes.
James, one thing you've always commented on about the payments industry in general, it's all these entrepreneurs, people who are, their head is on a swivel, is how you like to put it.
Yeah.
I think these are the types of issues. I can just imagine the industry right now. All those guys out there, they're doing exactly that. They're seeing, okay, which way do we have to swivel?
Which way we have to go, and there's people out there that are going to be able to figure out ways to have a long-lasting merchant program. You know, marijuana, when it first came live, people are just putting it in, and this is still the case. You know, anybody who's goes into a dispensary and sells on that, oh, I can actually really legally process using credit cards, they're wrong. They're just miscoding you, saying that you sell various stuff and hoping somebody doesn't find out. So,
But then they send a secret shopper in, and
they send a secret shopper in, or, you know, it's not that hard to figure out. You look at the address and then you go on Google Maps. So, there, you know, that will happen probably for a little while, but there are people out there that figure out ways to do it in a compliant way. And by compliant, I mean one that lasts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point, James. And we know a lot of those people. So as you said, people listening to this right now who have questions, reach out.
We had someone on the pod. That's who it was. It was that guy on the podcast last week, Noah Fitzgerald. They have this great company that is compliance front to back.
Right.
I mean, that's why he was so excited, because his company is, I'm checking everything out. Because probably what will happen is they'll figure out a way to make it totally zero.
They're going to have
THC.
They're going to
have to.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. Credible. That was credible.
Yeah, that company's full compliance. I mean, he's probably jumping for joy right now, because you need that guy at a minimum, and he's the one who's gonna know who the players are that are going to be able to survive the storm.
Yeah. Noah, you're welcome for that shout out.
You are.
Yeah, absolutely. Free advertising. All right, gentlemen, last word.
We said this earlier. If I'm in the marijuana industry, I would be paranoid right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know that it is fresh. This happened like Tuesday night, but if I'll be the canary in the coal mine here, I just have a real bad feeling about. I just worry that there's going to be a lot of just rushes to judgment as to who can process and who can't.
Yep.
And then our whole line of work is they're not even going to tell you why they shut you down.
Yep. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about the grocery store that I go to like almost every day. There's full of hemp products on their shelves, lotions, soaps, in the salad bar. They'd get put on match.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
And how do you keep it out? You're going to have to really look at all your products. Yeah. Maybe they snuck a little hemp in that, whatever.
In that cold cereal, there's some hemp seeds in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the oil.
Or granola. Yeah.
Did you cook with that? Yeah, I mean, so... Yep. We'll see.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. And thank you for listening this long to the Payments Experts Podcast, a podcast of Global Legal Law Firm. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Payments Experts Podcast, a podcast of Global Legal Law Firm. Visit us online today at globallegallawfirm.com. Matters discussed are all opinions and do not constitute legal advice. All events or likeness to real people and events is a coincidence.